Hello again folks, thank you for clicking on the video. Today's video is going to be a full review of the Webley Tempest Finale version. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, please stay tuned. Okay, so off the bat, let's get the boring bits out of the way first. This overlever style Springer pistol is made in Turkey by a company called Zaraki, who now own the rights to Webley and Scott. They have been making Tempest for a few years now, and as far as I'm aware, the only thing that separates this version from the previous one is this version has the words Finale on it, and there was only 800 produced worldwide. So that little bit of writing there is literally all you get. Okay, so they retail for around 200 notes depending on where you pick one up from. The pistol weighs 950 grams, so just shy of a kilo. Its barrel length is 171mm and the pistol's overall length is 230mm. They come in 177 and 22, and this version is in 177 as you can see. And it has a manual selective safety, which means it can only be made operational when the gun is cocked. So it will go up a bit, but it stops before it gets all the way. So like I say, it can only be made operational when the gun's cocked. And it has a 2-stage adjustable trigger, supposedly, but I'll get into that a little bit more later on in the review. And as you can see here, it has a fixed front sight, and it also has a set of rear adjustable sights that are there for windage and elevation. And there's nothing fancy about them, but again, I'll get into them a little bit more later on. But just to give you a little rough idea of what you're working with, that's what your sight picture is going to look like. So you'd kind of call them peep sights more than anything. They're not particularly clear to look through, so my advice would be to perhaps paint this front bit white so that it stood out a little bit better when you was trying to acquire your target. The top screw is used for adjustment to elevation, and the bottom screw is used for adjustment to windage. And obviously, with it being an overlever style shooter with an exposed barrel, you need a way of getting to it, and by doing so, or to do so, you operate the barrel catch release, which is that bit there, which is quite stiff to push. I just want to point out, after a while that really starts to chafe your thumb, but obviously that gives you access to the pistol's barrel. Just see if I can get a bit of the rifle in. There we go. Nice and tidy rifle in. I think this pistol's had about 300 pellets through it now, so it's just starting to bed in a little. But it has a set of plastic ergonomic grips, so like the original, it promotes good access to the pistol safety. If the switch was all the way, you know, up to the hilt of that groove, when you're holding the pistol naturally, it's just in a great place to knock off. I know a lot of people that, you know, use these guns and don't bother operating the safety, but I always do because of the way I cock the gun, and I just love where it is and how comfy that the grips are to use. Now, I say that they're comfy to use provided that you're a right-handed shooter, as I'm not aware that they ever made these for left-handed shooters in the past or even now. And incidentally, I am a left-handed person, but due to me being right-eye dominant, over the years I've had to learn to shoot right-handed, and I had a Webley Hurricane as a kid, which really helped me like make that transition, as I'm sure this pistol would, because of the comfortable grips and everything. You know, it makes it great for such a task. Okay, so I'll now cut to some test footage of me running it over a chronograph whilst displaying a decibel meter. Okay, so I'm just going to run the pistol over a chronograph, as you can see, and I've got JSB exact heavies at 10.34s and JSB exact normals at 8.44. As you can see, the ambient noise level is around about 45 decibels, as it normally is. And as I say, I'll take 3 shots using the heavies, and I'll take 3 shots using the normals. Okay, so first shot using the heavies. So that was 370.4 feet per second. The Second shot, 375.6. And the third shot is 366.0. You can see the decibel meters going up to around about 98 decibels, I think. So, first shot using the normals. That's 437.8. Second shot using the JSB exact normals. 437.8 again. And then the third shot quickly using the JSB exact normals. 446.0. So it's a fairly consistent pistol. It's fairly new as well still, so I could only expect that to improve over time. Okay, so I'll just give a quick demonstration on how to cock and load the pistol. You might find it easier to do it another way, but with experience of the Hurricane as a youth to having a go on this as an adult, I'm still going to adopt the same method I was shown in the gun shop all them years ago, which, as I said, has never failed me up until this point. I've had no accidents, and the way that it was demonstrated to me to do so was to basically do it like this. So release the barrel from the catch, turn the pistol towards you, which I know sounds unorthodox, but if you hear me out, take a firm purchase of the barrel around the grip and lever the pistol apart like that, and then straight away knock it onto safe. And then of course all you're going to want to do is put a pellet in the barrel, close it back over, knock it off safety when you're ready to fire. So again, firm purchase on both sides of the gun, lever it apart, put it onto safety, and pop a pellet into the barrel. Again, operate the barrel catch to put the barrel back down, take it off for safety when you're ready to fire. Okay, so I've got a few targets downrange, and I'm just going to take a few shots at them. They're about 10 metres away, so let's see how I get on. Okay, so to wrap the video up, I'd just like to give a few pros and cons on the pistol, if I may. If you've made it this far, thank you. So my first pro would be the pistol's build quality. It's very well built and it follows the standards set by the original company years ago, which I'm really happy about for my sake and for Webley's. And my second pro is how compact and lightweight it is. This pistol is tiny compared to some of the other pistols I've got, and for that reason I think it would make a cracking pistol to put in a bug out kit, for example, or, you know, it would be great to take camping. And It's even good for, you know, close range pest control or dispatching. I think, you know, it'd do a humane enough job of dispatching the quarry, providing you'd picked a sensible one to target in the first place. And just to give you a bit of a size comparison, this is like a standard generic size lighter in the UK, and as you can see, it's about a third of the size. And when I bought the pistol, I picked up a flambeau hard case. So as you can see, this is the smallest one they do. It fits in there like a dream, and you know, you could put that in your backpack and barely even know about it, I reckon. It's not big, it's not bulky, it weighs about 1 kilogram with the case. And just as another size comparison, that's a more companion, I think it is. And you know, doesn't exactly dwarf the case or nothing. It's a good sized knife as well, but you know, that's the blade. It's a carbon one, which I've done a force patina on. It's gone a little bit manky because I've been leaving it at the garage, but yeah, you know, if you wanted to make yourself a little bug out bag, I think that pistol would be a superb addition to your kit. Okay, so my third pro is the pistol's accuracy. With a bit of practice and some pellet testing, it's possible to get good sized groupings at 10 meters with this gun, while doing so standing and unsupported. My fourth pro is the pistol's power. It's sold as a full power pistol and it delivers this nicely. Now don't get me wrong, it's not a hand cannon, but at the same time it can be used for more than just tin can bashing, so it has a fair few practical uses for it. As mentioned, you could use it for close range pest control, or you know, to dispatch an animal. And my fifth pro is how quiet it is. There's a fairly low muzzle report on this pistol that I'm really pleased about, and compared to some of my other guns, it seems really quiet, so that's always a good thing. And my sixth pro is the pistol's looks. Okay, this is more of a personal thing, I do appreciate that, but you know, some people might find it's butt ugly, but I really like its classic looks, as they remind me a lot of my youth. You know, I do think it is a tidy looking pistol. It's not ugly, but again, that's a personal thing. You know, you might be looking at it going, yeah, alright mate, whatever. And my last pro is the price. I think it's a fair price, you know, 200 notes to pay for a pistol of this quality. And I think you get a lot of pistol for your money, and if you look after it, there's no reason it shouldn't last you a long time. Okay, so on to the cons. And my first con is the finale thing, funnily enough. To my mind, there's nothing extra special about this version to any other one that was made in recent years, other than the fact that it has finale written on it. There's no special box for the gun, and it's even clear to see that the box it does come in is also used for other pistol models available from the Webley range. So Zaraki couldn't even be asked to design a special box for this gun. You know, you can see here that that's the pistol at the back of the case, or the box, sorry, and it goes on for about another bloody half a mile. Exaggerated, obviously. You know, when I first opened up the case, I was thinking, Christ, what have I got in here, you know? And the pistol just sits in there like it's dwarfed in there. It's clear to see that they use it for other guns that they sell, so the fact that they couldn't even be asked to make a special box for it or anything to commemorate, you know, the final edition or anything, I think it's really pants. And you know, thumbs down for that for Zaraki. You know, you can't make a pistol with it being the finale version and literally just write finale on it and that's it. You know, I mean, when I first opened up that box, I was a bit like, whoa, where's my pistol? It looks lost. And, you know, getting over the box quite quickly, because I had to, I was frantically looking over the pistol for its serial number that would indicate it was one of 800. And there's nothing on the gun, nothing anywhere that says, you know, you've got number 666 or anything like that, you know, like. And as I say, I've just found that really pants, so, you know, shame on you, Zaraki. But anyway, moving on to my second con, and it's the pistol's trigger. It's not the best, I must say. You know, I've used a lot worse in the past, but I've also used a lot better. And after using a original Webley Hurricane recently, it's clear to see that they are miles apart. And both guns are brand new, so it's not like, you know, one's bedded in better or nothing like that. You know, it was just the trigger on the Webley Hurricane is original, is far better than the trigger on this Webley Tempest Finale made by Zaraki. And as I say, there is an adjustment screw, but after using it a few times I soon realised it has very little influence on the pistol's trigger. And from the box, the trigger is set to a very high weight of pull, so I'm hoping over time, as the pistol beds in, that it does settle down. It becomes more predictable to use, as at this stage it's got a load of creep and not a lot else going for it, which, you know, I'm fairly disappointed about. Okay, so my third con is the sights. They're okay and they kind of do the job, but in all honesty they're not great. You know, like I said earlier on, like you'd probably want to colour the front bit in just so it stood out a bit more, and, you know, to my mind they just leave a little bit to be desired. As I say, they can be adjusted for windage and elevation using a flathead screwdriver, And as a bit of a side note, I noticed when I first started to use the pistol, when shooting at 10 metres, there was not enough elevation adjustment to be able to aim dead on at a target. But thankfully, as the pistol began to bed in and come up in power, this problem did go away a little. Okay, so my last con is all about operating the pistol. This thing is not easy to cock at all, and I'd even go as far to say it's a bit of a pig. The amount of effort required to cock this thing is staggering, and after a while it becomes a real hand chafer. And I don't think this is exclusive to the Zaraki models. I have heard from people that the original was exactly the same, and the 2.2 versions are even worse. So I think I kind of got off a bit lightly there. But, you know, I even asked a few mates to have a go with this gun without trying to influence them in any way or suggest, you know, my opinions of it. I literally handed them the gun and said enjoy. And, you know, after several minutes of using the gun, they all agreed with me that it is a bit of a pig. I mean, unless you're built like a brick shithouse and you've got hands like spades, you know, like shovels, you're going to find it a sod to cock at first. And with a bit of, like, use, it will become easier. But, you know, it will be difficult still, like I say, at the start. So if you're thinking of buying one of these to use all day as a backyard plinker, forget about it. Your hands are going to tire after a short while, I promise you. Okay, so just to give a few final quick thoughts on the pistol. I like it a lot. I'm really pleased with it, and I'm glad I've got it in my collection. I like how small and compact it is, and I love the fact that it's accurate. And I do, believe it or not, fully feel it's worth the 200 notes asking price. But having said that, I really wish that Zaraki had made a little bit more of it, as unfortunately it just doesn't feel special or, you know, or anything like that in any way, shape or form. You know, like they literally just wrote the words finale on the end of the gun and went, there you go guys, cop a load of that. And I knew what I was getting into when I bought the pistol. You know, I'd done my research as I do with all guns, which is probably what you're doing now by watching this video. You know, I didn't want it for it to be like an ultimate put on a plinth and hang on the wall kind of like collector's gun. I wanted it to have as a bug out like gun, to have for plinking in the back garden and for things like that. So this pistol's kind of half lived up to my expectations and half hasn't. But, you know, I'm fortunate enough to have plenty of others, so I guess I'll just have to make do with them where this falls short. But like I say, I do think it's worth the asking price, but at the same time I think Zaraki need a slap on the ears, you know. Like it's just, it's lazy, you know. They could have done so much more with it and they didn't. But having said all that, that's not the gun's fault, you know. It still is a good shooter and I would still recommend it to people. So before I carry on any further and get myself into trouble, that pretty much brings us to the end of this review. If you liked it, please feel free to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel. All my reviews up until this point recently, you know, or any ones that I've made recently in the last year or so have been fully independent reviews. You know, every product I have reviewed, it's been brought out of my own money, and I am set to review guns from Pull the Trigger again soon, as I spoke to the bloke in there who does it all, and who I dealt with last time, and he said it's okay for me to come borrow some more guns in the future and do some reviews on some other stuff. So if there's anything that you've got to mind that you want reviewing pistol wise, just let me know, and I'll have a word with the guys in Pull the Trigger and see what I can come up with. And thanks for watching.